In this video you will learn how to make great sourdough ciabatta, and I will also show you the power of autolysis. What a lovely day to bake! Moin, my name is Arne, German hobby baker who is living in Luxembourg. Today we bake a bread that I really love, ciabatta. It's an Italian bread which translated means slipper, and it somehow looks like it too. It requires a strong flour with a high protein content and lots of water. I'm going to show you a simple version today with a stiff sourdough starter. So let's get started. This is from Luxembourg with Loaf. The evening before we bake, we create our stiff starter. And a stiff starter is usually the double amount of wheat flour to water. And in this case, I'm combining 37 grams of water with 75 grams of wheat flour, mixing in 8 grams of a starter. I already prepared my starter to take less water in the morning. And I created the starter with a ratio of 100% of wheat flour to 75% of water and 10% of starter. So then we take a spoon and incorporate the water into the flour, and this is a little bit hard, so we have to take our hands for it. So we put the content of the glass onto our countertop and then start working with our hands through the dough. Don't forget any of your flour. So, and after you mixed everything together, this can go back into the glass, and you can actually use your fingers to press it a little bit down. So this helps you when you mark the height of your starter with a rubber band to see in the next morning how much it raised. So at the next morning we can start with the main dough, and therefore we need 400 grams of flour. But first look at our starter. It already raised about 100%, and that's perfect. We can put the starter to the side because we won't need it for the first step. So in addition to the 400 grams of wheat flour, we need 320 grams of water in total. But we won't use everything at once for now. Please leave about 100 milliliters of water, and this will be needed during the next processes. Then take a spoon and incorporate everything together. And if you notice that it's not enough water, then just add a little bit. But as I said, leave a little bit water for later. Then take your hands and do the rest of incorporation. This will take some time. And once this has been done, cover it with a plastic wrap and leave it rest for about 2 hours. 2 hours later we can continue. And the autolysis actually developed a lot of gluten for us without we had to do anything. So you can take your wet fingers and actually stretch the dough a bit, and you will see that there's a lot of gluten development. So then it's time for our stiff starter. So we take now our stiff starter. In total that's about 112 gram, and we can then incorporate that into our main dough. This is now where the fermentation actually starts its journey. So take a spoon and then we mix everything together with our hands. And if you notice in this step that you actually cannot incorporate everything, hey, we have still some leftover water, so we can take some of them, not everything, and do the rest with the hands. You can really squeeze the dough to incorporate the last bits from the starter with your flour, water, main dough. Then cover your dough with a plastic wrap and leave it for rest for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, it's time to incorporate the last part of the water and then also 8 grams of salt. Then use your fingers again and incorporate everything together. And now we use a glass container and we take some olive oil to cover the ground of that container, because we now move the dough from our bowl into that glass container. That has some advantage because we can see actually how much the dough rises, and we can also easily get the dough out of it, because the olive oil of course prevents the dough from sticking to the edges. 30 minutes rest, and then it's time for a first set of coil folds. Therefore we put some oil on our fingers and then we actually grab the dough up and then fold it over. Do it 1 or 2 times, then rotate the container and do it for the other side as well. Then rotate the container 90 degrees and do it 1 more time. And then we can cover the dough and let it rest for 30 minutes. And 30 minutes later we will do exactly the same thing. And you already now can see that the dough consistency changes. So it's getting more and more like an ice cream instead of a dough. And this is exactly what we want. We cover it again and then wait another 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes we do the last time where we do the coil folds, and I saw that the dough consistency was perfect, so I decided that should be the final stage.
While we wait for the sourdough to unfold its power, I would be happy if you would support me and my channel. So take a moment and like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Thanks!
After 4 hours you should see that the dough raised about 100 or 80% at least. And now it's time for the next step. We cover the top side with some flour and then we want to flip the container upside down to get the dough out of the glass container. And this can take some time. But it's worth to wait, trust me. Don't stress yourself. Then you can take a dough scraper and bring the dough into a rectangular form. And then we take some flour on the top part from the dough, and then we take the dough scraper and actually cut the dough into 2 pieces because we want to make 2 ciabatta breads. Then we take a sheet of baking paper and we transfer the dough to the baking paper. you can give the dough now a very gentle massage. This helps the air inside of the dough to a little bit float around, and this gives us actually a little bit better crumb at the end. All we need to do is now wait for 90 minutes, and therefore we cover the ciabatta breads with a kitchen towel. And then we preheat the oven to 250 degrees. We need a spiral to actually bring in some steam to the oven, and we bake the ciabatta on a pizza stone. Add some water into the oven and then close the oven, and you can already decrease the temperature to 230 degrees of Celsius. Then after 15 minutes leave the steam out and then wait another 15 minutes until they are golden brown. Yeah, leave it cool for about 30 minutes and then it's time to taste the ciabatta bread. They sound really good. So let's cut them in half to see how the crumb looks like. Moment of truth. Wow, this is what it should look like. A very open crumb. There are only small parts where the crumb isn't perfect, but that's okay. And enjoy some other views of the ciabattas.
I hope you liked my video. It was my first complete sourdough ciabatta which I baked. The taste is mildly acidic, the crumb is bombastic, but I will definitely do it again and work on the crust, which is currently a little bit thick. See you in the next video, adieu and goodbye.